I have been intentional about not saying anything about the Charlie Kirk shooting. I haven't spoken to my friends or family about this, haven't posted anything on my social media accounts, and haven't discussed it on YouTube until today. Because as I was searching for education news, I was inundated with all kinds of stories of teachers losing their jobs for comments they made about the Charlie Kirk situation. Now, this video is not about me giving my opinion on any of this. I will just say a couple of things briefly. First of all, I think that the passing of anyone is a tragedy because in most cases there are lots of people who are mourning the loss of an individual. So my condolences go out to those who are mourning the loss of Charlie Kirk. And second, as a Christian, I have a deep respect for human life. And I think that every human life is a life given by God. And so I cannot in any way condone any sort of violence against life itself. That's just not something that I am willing to do. And just adding this in as well, I had no idea who Charlie Kirk was until this whole thing went down. So I don't know. I've never seen any Charlie Kirk video. I have not seen a single speech or anything from Charlie Kirk. So there's that. But I want to talk about some of these issues with teachers and things that they have said because I think that it highlights the job of a teacher, what teachers can and cannot do, and it's very interesting to discuss. And I just kind of want to put some information out there and hear from you all. So make sure to comment after you watch this video all the way to the end because there's a lot going on and I'm curious to hear what you think about this. Now, first of all, there have been a lot of teachers that have been fired for comments they've made in the classroom. As a matter of fact, there was something that went down in a school near me, and I said, "Yeah, you're asking to get terminated, by saying those kinds of things." There have been a lot of teachers that have been fired or suspended or whatever for doing that, for going into the classroom, giving their thoughts or opinions on this, usually saying some very negative things about Charlie Kirk and I guess in some way, affirming what happened or painting it in a certain light. And a lot of teachers have lost their job for that. Now, when you are a teacher, you need to check the handbook. You need to check school policies. And I know that, in most school districts, there are policies that forbid teachers from expressing their political views in the classroom. You just cannot do that. And if history has taught you anything, if you pay attention at all, you have seen that the same thing happens over and over again. When Trump was elected, when he won the election and then when he came into office, there were waves of teachers that were fired then for expressing their opinions in the classroom. Like, this is a no-brainer. This thing happens all the time. You cannot express your political opinions in the classroom. And I don't think you should. And this is a little bit of a rant on my own part, but who are you to give your opinion? I know that you're a teacher. I know that you're a teacher. One thing, this is maybe a bit of a pet peeve of mine, is I don't like how social media has created an environment and created a culture where people think that their opinions are so important that they just need to get out there and say whatever they feel and just put it out there like that. Why do you need to do that? Who cares about your opinion? At least that's what I say to myself. I'm not criticizing necessarily any individual in particular. This is what I think about myself. Like, why am I so important that I need to put my opinion out there for others to hear? Like, I'm not trying to change anyone's mind about anything. I love to have discussions with people, and if you were to come and asked me to have a conversation about something, yeah, like I would give you my opinion, but nobody on social media is asking for my opinion. A lot of times my students are not asking for my opinion. Sometimes they do. And when I do, I try to give my opinion with, some temperance, some moderation, some scrutiny. But going out and just saying all this stuff, why are you doing it? Why are you doing this? So a lot of teachers have lost their job for saying these types of things in the classrooms, and it is what it is. Like, you violated school policy. But hey, maybe I could be wrong on this. Maybe I could be wrong. Let me know down in the comment section what you think about these teachers that have lost their jobs for saying things in the classroom. But that's not the only case of a teacher that has been fired. Let's take a look at an article that I found, and this is on kcci.com. The headline says, Iowa teacher fired for social media post about Charlie Kirk shooting files lawsuit against school district. So let's see. The article says, Oskaloosa, Iowa. An Oskaloosa high school art teacher is suing the school district, claiming it violated his constitutional right to free speech when the school board voted to fire him over a post he made in the aftermath of the Charlie Kirk shooting. The Oskaloosa School Board voted to terminate art teacher Matthew Cargill's contract following a closed session meeting on Wednesday. On Thursday morning, Cargill filed a lawsuit in the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of Iowa. He is suing the school district and district superintendent Michael Fisher. The lawsuit claims that a social media post Cargill made in the hours after conservative activist Charlie Kirk's shooting death on September 10th was rhetorical hyperbole, and nothing about the post connected his words to his employment with Oskaloosa schools. The lawsuit notes that Cargill's profile did not identify him as a school district employee and was not made in the classroom during working hours or using school resources. Within hours of Cargill's post, the district began receiving calls from community members who were upset about the post. On Wednesday, the district told KCCI they received over 1,200 phone calls. Cargill was placed on leave. The day after the post was made, Fisher told KCCI, "This has created substantial material disruption to our learning environment." So, this is interesting because here we have a case where a teacher did not say anything during school hours, posted on social media, claims that their social media account was not connected to the school in any way or had no indicators that they were an employee at the school. But clearly people found out, and it says that they received 1,200 phone calls. Says that, the school district received over 1,200 phone calls related to this incident. People complaining. Now, should this teacher be fired or not? That is the question. I don't know what to say. I understand the idea of freedom of speech, that in all the things that people are saying, again, that are circling social media about free speech and, Jimmy Kimmel and just this whole thing. But, I don't know. And that's why I'm making this video, because I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this. Like I said, my opinion, interestingly, is that you don't have to share your opinion. And why do people feel that they need to get on social media and put themselves out there like that? You're just asking for trouble. I don't think you're helping anyone by sharing your opinion like that on social media. You're helping people by having a discussion, just talking to people one-on-one, maybe joining a forum, a place that is like designated for political discussion. But just going on social media and doing that, I don't know what to tell you. And I don't know what this post said. I really like that's the other thing is what is the content of the social media post? Because there's another article that I want to pull up here that I think does make a valid point. And this is coming from Indiana. This is on Indiana Capitol Chronicle. The article says Indiana governor threatens licenses of teachers who celebrate political violence online. ACLU free speech experts warn about chilling effects as Governor Mike Braun links teachers' licenses to social media posts. This was published on September 19, 2025, and it says here, Indiana Governor Mike Braun warned Wednesday that teachers who post online in celebration of political violence could face suspension or even revocation of their professional licenses. But free speech advocates quickly raised concerns that the governor's threat risks trampling constitutional protections and chilling lawful speech. Teachers play a critical role in the shaping of our youth, Braun wrote in a post to X. As a result, we hold them to a higher standard. The vast majority of Indiana's educators live up to that standard, but sadly, in recent days, a few have not. There have been some terrible things shared, particularly across social media, Braun wrote, referring to online discourse about Kirk's death. While we must protect the First Amendment, calls for political violence are not freedom of speech and should not be tolerated. All right. David Keating, president of the Institute for Free Speech, said that threat raises serious constitutional concerns. My initial reaction was, I don't understand why he would call for suspending, like revoking a teacher's license, Keating said. He noted that Indiana law typically ties license revocations to criminal acts or serious misconduct. So on and so forth. So it's interesting that the governor there is saying that teachers may have their license revoked for making politically charged or calling for political violence on social media, and saying that that is not free speech. Look, I don't know. I don't know. These are matters that I do not honestly care too much about, because I know what my beliefs are, and a lot of them are rooted in things in the Bible. I think that out of the mouth comes the desires of the heart, and the tongue is a flame, I believe it says in James. Look. I'm trying to. I'm not going to quote scripture here. I'm speaking off of what I know and what I've learned. The tongue is a fire, and the tongue can destroy. And you should learn to tame the tongue. And that is what I have spent a lot of my life trying to do, trying to measure my words and be very calculating in what I say. And so it's just you tell me. Again, that's why I'm making this video. So a couple of questions here. These teachers who are speaking, making comments about Charlie Kirk in the classroom, is it just or unjust to fire them? Should they be fired? Second, teachers who are making posts on social media about Charlie Kirk that are not tying themselves to the school or the school district, is it okay for teachers to do that? Should they be fired or should they lose their license? Let me know down in the comments, and what the Indiana governor said about how speaking about Charlie Kirk and affirming or promoting political violence is not free speech. Is it? Is it not free speech? You let me know down in the comment section. Really, that's all I have to say. It's unfortunate that teachers still make these mistakes. It seems like rookie mistakes, and maybe they just don't care that much about their job, and they're just saying, hey, I'm going to say what I say, and my job is not that important to me. I don't feel personally so moved by any situation that I'm going to get on social media and create an outcry or do something like that. I just, let's have conversations. Let's not get out there and just go on blast on social media. I don't know. But But anyways, like I said, lots of questions that I've asked. Let me know down in the comment section below. Thank you for watching this video. Make sure to like, share, hit the subscribe button because I got lots of good content coming out for you. And I also just published a book. I'll put a link to it down in the description below. It's called Teaching for Eternity. Topical Devotions for Christian Educators. It is a devotional book that it goes over all kinds of topics that teachers deal with. You can find that now. You can purchase it via Kindle, via Amazon. So yeah, great resource for teachers looking for just that little bit of daily motivation to get them through the day. Like I said, I'll post a link to that down in the description. Any purchase is supporting this channel. Thank you for watching once again. That's all I have for you in this video. See you in the next one.